of course, of another color, then it would have went completely different. And this is something that politicians do on a regular basis. But the fact that he got caught up, this is just ruining everything that he ever stood for, everything that he ever did, all of the good he did in the community, and just slandering his name. So again, I'm just here for the comments, and they were pretty interesting. An officer, shout out to Reggie B, an officer pulls over a young black man because he doesn't believe he owns property in the neighborhood. The black guy takes him to his house to prove it. Two black guys were out looking at MLS listings, comparing their property they were trying to sell to the homes in the surrounding neighborhood. And a cop pulls them over, questions them about why they were in the neighborhood. The black guy tells him he was in the process of selling his home and was giving an offer he didn't like, so he was comparing other sales to his home for homes in the neighborhood. The cop apparently didn't believe him because how could two young black men drive a nice car and live in such a lavish neighborhood? That's simply impossible, right? How wrong could that be? These young, educated, hardworking young men who are very responsible and business savvy asked the officers, the guy asked the officer, do you want me to take you to the house? And of course, the officer obliged. They drove about a mile and pulled up to the 5-bedroom, 3-bath brick home and invited the cop in, and he refused. The guy started laughing, and the officer left looking embarrassed. And I guess you can't drive a nice vehicle and live in a nice neighborhood while black. Shout out Reggie B. Father of two, hedge fund manager who was charged with $25 million inside trading fraud, is found dead in suspected suicide at his $4 million Brooklyn home. Sanji Valani, 44, found dead by his wife, Jot, in an apparent suicide, had a wound to his neck. A note and a knife were found. He was arrested last Wednesday, accused of having fraudulently made $25 million by gaining advance word by FDA drug approval. Out on $5 million bond secured by his home is exactly where he took his life. Wow. I'm just here for the comments. One of the things I would like to say to my resilient people who, no matter what they go through, my resilient people, no matter what they don't have, my resilient people, no matter what struggles, they shall overcome. Suicide is never the answer, baby. It's never the answer. Knowing him, knowing who he worked for, $25 million, like everybody else in the game, he might have went to the Martha Stewart prison and got a little probation, slap on the wrist, and could have had an amazing life with his 2 children and his beautiful wife. But now he's gone. It's never that bad. 2 new California blazes could merge into one superfire as crews continue to wrestle 20-foot-high infernos in 9 separate states. California, New Mexico, Arizona, Alaska, Montana, Washington, Utah, Wyoming, and Colorado are all battling wildfires. The worst of these fires has been in California, New Mexico, and Arizona, where triple-digit heat has stoked the burn. In California, 2 massive fires that sprung up on Monday could converge to create one super fire. Firefighters are finally starting to make progress on a nearly week-old fire in Santa Barbara County. One of the things that I always wondered as a little kid, again, Tayla was an imaginative little child with all of these questions. Nobody had answers. Still to this day, Sway, we're still seeking them. But I always wondered if we knew in the summertime, these wildfires, burn down millions of acres of trees. Why isn't in the spring, why aren't we in the spring heading over to the Pacific Ocean, taking some water and draining, what's the word I'm looking for? Dousing, that's the word, right? English has a second language, don't know what the first one is, but
dousing is putting out.
Dousing is putting out, drenching. Why not drench the trees before they're too dry and then start a fire? And then the outside perimeter. Why isn't there one helicopter that gets water for the outside perimeter of the fire so that those trees that are not yet on fire but could catch on fire aren't then Wet up. Why you can't wet them up? I always wondered that as a child. And I still wonder that as an adult. Why don't we take preventative action and make sure the trees are nice and moisturized so they're not catching a blaze? Somebody has an answer, though. 617-282-0062. Good rising, caller, you're live. Good rising, baby, you're live. Hello, my love. I can't hear you. Call back. 617-282-0062. In other news, Minnesota priest accused of molesting 4 young girls aged 16 and under is spared jail despite children's testimony. Despite the baby's testimony, they still let him go. That must have been that new Catholic, remember they were lobbying, the Catholic Church was over there lobbying. Maybe it happened so long ago and it doesn't, let me stop. But this is absolutely horrible. Again, I want to go ahead and remind you of the conversation that we had with Body and Soul about the face of sex trafficking. Old white men, little brown girls. The girls allege that Brian Letter, 30 years old, touched them inappropriately on more than one occasion at Assumption Catholic School. The incidents occurred during the 2014-2015 school year. Letter was arrested and charged in May of 2015. The priest who was charged with 6 counts of criminal sexual conduct has been acquitted. A separate charge concerning the possession of child porn will be heard by the court in November. Does this make any common sense to you? Because it doesn't make common sense to me. Not guilty on all counts, but you're going to court separately, O.J. Simpson, for counts of child pornography? These girls aged from 10 to 13 at the time. He was accused by 4 girls of snapping their bras, cupping their breast, and touching their butt and groin areas. He was the only witness for his own defense. I have investigated myself and found that I did nothing wrong. The girls and their parents were not present during the verdict when it was read. 3 of the accusers were under the age of 14 at the time, and the 4th was between the age of 13 and 16. 3 of the females were classmates. 2 of them were sisters. And still, there is nothing in this report that says why he was more than spared for these crimes, but yet he has another court date for child pornography. Again, no, there's nothing in the report at all that says why he was acquitted. Just says that he was acquitted. They had cops on call. The shady businessman paid corrupt NYPD officers $100,000 in bribes and had a lane of the Lincoln Tunnel shut down so a VIP could be escorted to Bill de Blasio's fundraiser. Jeremy Richburg is at the center of the NYPD's corruption trial. Prosecutors describe how he effectively had officers at his disposal in exchange for bribes. He and others got a private police force. Shocking allegations were made after 2 high-ranking cops were arrested. Deputy Chief Michael Harrington and Deputy Inspector James Grant are facing corruption charges. Get them. Get them. Get them, you dirty little cops. Get them. What Erykah Badu say? Watch out for dirty cops. Them the ones that you need to stop. I should have played My Baby This Rising. The biggest disaster in NHS history. 2,000 died after 34,000 were given HIV or hepatitis C through infected blood, but it took 30 years for an apology. I posted this video yesterday on Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, and Facebook. 7,500 people, many hemophiliacs, were given contaminated blood. The disease came from high-risk donors, including prostitutes and prisoners. Many victims needed liver transplants and dialysis. People inadvertently infected partners and children with diseases. Following a publication of an 1,800-page, 6-year report into the scandal, and guess who it is? Yes? Can you guess who it is, Reggie B?
Say it again.
Bear.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Show enough. There's so many more stories. So this was banned in the United States of America. They knew. Bear knew. If you didn't hear me the first time, let me repeat it again. Bear knew that it was bad blood. Bear knew that they had HIV, AIDS in these many pills, and they dumped them in Europe, they dumped them in India, they dumped them in Africa, and people got AIDS from it. 30 years later, and by 30 years I mean back in 2013, they apologized for it. So the video that I posted is old, but if you didn't know, baby, you didn't know. But yet the company is still in freaking business. I can't say the wrong thing. You can't say the wrong thing at work and still keep your job. Let alone do the wrong thing and still have a job. Let alone do something on purpose and still keep a job. Really quickly, I want to remind you that David Banner tickets are on sale. David Banner tickets are on sale. $25 David Banner tickets are on sale. You can head over to TaylaAndre.com where you will find the tickets on sale for $25. In other news, the Directory of Apprenticeship Programs. So there are several companies, IBEW Local 99, that's hiring. That's Cranston, Rhode Island. Floor coverers, locals 2168 JATC. This is in 803 Summer Street in Boston. I do not know what these mean. I don't know what they stand for, but if this is your specialty, you know exactly what it means. Worcester Carpenters, JATC, is also hiring. We did floor covers. Southeastern Carpenters, this is in Randolph. We also have bricklayers and allied craftsmen, local 3 in Charleston. We also have heat and frost installators, local 6 JATC, asbestos worker, 303 Freeport in Dorchester, and there's so many more. I could go down the list, but there are many that are hiring. If you are in the trades, I will post this on the Wake Up with Tayla Andre page, so you can go ahead and get a job, baby. Get a job. FII. Oh my goodness. I learned about FII in its fullest capacity yesterday, and I am so excited and cannot wait to have a representative on this air talking to you about FII. Tayla, what is that? It's the Family Independence Initiative Boston, because they have other cities that they also work with, but I personally cannot tell you, I can't break it down. It sounds too good to be true. But I have a good friend and mentor of mine that has been in the program for over 3 years. And she's like, Taylor, I've been trying to tell you about it. Shout out to Julia Mejia, one of the Determined Divas. There is a civic challenge. Join them for a lively lunch discussion with elected officials, youth, and community leaders. The topic is public safety. Create community-centered solutions to address violence, mental health, transportation safety, community policing youth, and policing relations, and so much more. This is Saturday, July 9th, 2016, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Bruce Boyling Building. Again, shout out to Union Capital, shout out to Family Nurturing Center, shout out to Family Independence Initiative, FII. Awesome opportunity. Again, if you know somebody, if you know an adult, if you know a child, if you know somebody who has gone through some type of stereotype or some type of so there's a story of a young girl who was in a dance class, and because she couldn't keep up, because she was autistic, they kicked her out of dance. There was a young man who wanted to go to a school dance, and he wasn't able to go because he was autistic. One of the things that we're seeing is that autistic children are not afforded the same opportunities as regular children, or what we would say normal children. I think that this is all the way wrong. This Friday, June 24th, I have tickets. If you want to go, if you have a child that is autistic, or you know somebody who has a child that's autistic that would like to be around other children that look just like him or her, or act like him or her, and want to be accepted by those that they fit in with, please, this Friday, June 24th, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. This is at Matt's Charter School in Boston. Tickets are $10. And this information is on the Wake Up with Tayla Andre page, and you can purchase your tickets. I believe tickets are $10, but it's called Chucks and Tucks, Dresses and Presses. I will post that again on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for you to get connected and share if you wish. Big Sean, shout out to Big Sean. I don't know if you guys remember Big Sean helping out. I think I read the story about it 6 months ago, where he helped fund a sleeping bag coat that's like a tent at the same time. It's so dope. One of the things that I want to remind us of is when Nas was here in Cambridge receiving an award for from Harvard. One of the things he said is that when we focus on hip hop, we don't focus on the philanthropy. We don't focus on the good works that our artists participate in. We don't focus on the betterment of the community. And we have a lot of artists that invest in our community, and we never honor them and we never pay attention to them. So shout out to Big Sean and his organization. The Sean Anderson Foundation has made a $25,000 contribution to Wayne State University High, helping individuals go higher. The program to establish an endowment, according to the foundation's website, the endowment will provide short-term support to Wayne State students experiencing homelessness or precarious housing situations. This is huge. I love it. Shout out to Big Sean. It's a really big deal. The Secret Service officer who has a damning tell-all about Hillary Clinton is already a bestseller, reportedly is banned from making appearances on broadcast networks after Hillary Clinton, labeled the book trash. Now listen, you do know at any point in time, if somebody is talking about you, you can sue them. You can sue them for libel, or you can sue them for slander. So there's two different types of defamation of character, right? Libel is something written. That is something that is written. That is a book that may be written about you. Slander is something that is spoken or oral about you. At any point in time, Hillary Clinton could sue this man. Hillary Clinton could definitely have a rebuttal, but instead, she said the book's trash. Don't make sure he don't get on none of the TV shows. Don't interview him. So we're going to try and interview him. I'm so sincere. I'm so serious. Not only did we already put it out to the universe, but we already put it in the inbox. So we're going to see if Gary Byron wants to come onto the show and talk about his book, since he's been banned from ABC, NBC, CBS, the ABC boys. He's been banned from all the ABC boys, but the BIG wants to talk to him. So we'll see if whether or not he's willing to come on air. Crisis of Character details the years as a Secret Service ununiformed officer in the Clinton White House. The book is already a bestseller and #2 on Amazon's list for the month of June. It might be Byron. Gary Byron claims to have walked in on Bill Clinton being intimate with Monica Lewinsky and implies Hillary may have slugged her husband in the book. Several agents said in an interview that Byron did not even have access to see things like that. He writes about given his low rank in the service. And basically they try to slander him because he libeled Hillary Clinton. But if this book was really trash, she could sue him and make sure the book never came out. True or false? Hey, don't act like it ain't never happened before. It happened all the time. So it is definitely Power Hour. Not last week, on Monday, we had a caller call in and says, Tayla, you don't know about Tayla? You don't know? And I had to go do my due diligence, baby. So before we get into Power Hour, make sure you call somebody that calls somebody that calls somebody is like, yo, you might want to listen to this conversation. Shout out to our sponsors. He's not a sponsor yet, but I'm trying to get him to be so I can get me some saltfish and ackee for breakfast. Ralph's across from the Dorchester Courthouse has the perfect blend of saltfish and ackee. If you go anywhere else, you're either getting ackee with a little bit of saltfish, or you're getting saltfish and no damn ackee. But Ralph's, for me, has the perfect blend of saltfish and ackee. I love their porridge. My favorite is the chicken. I can't wait until Friday and Saturday so I can try the drunken crab, and then I'll report on that. But the chicken for breakfast is absolutely amazing. I love it. And Tayla, what do you mean? You know, anybody who's Caribbean knows what I mean. That chicken for breakfast and the sauce is amazing. I'm a gravy person. That's probably why I'm thickums. ZC Boston half price sushi on the weekend from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Saturday and Sunday. $1 oysters for the first dozen. Free parking, free delivery. 3-mile radius of the BMC. That means Blue Hill Ave all the way up to Columbia Road. You have free delivery. And do not forget the $10 Bento box. If you don't know what a Bento box is, take a look at the Tayla Andre page on Facebook. I just posted a picture yesterday because I went there for lunch. And by the time you finish half of your Bento box, you're already full. You can take it to go if you wish, but I personally didn't. $10 fills you up. Absolutely amazing. And they deliver. There's no excuses. They're open until 2 a.m. every day of the week, and they serve food until 1 a.m. They deliver until 1 a.m. The poo-poo platter is a bomb, too. Don't forget Faiths with an S, Naturals with an S, Beauty.com. She has some new summer products, and the Good Rising scrub is absolutely amazing. I love it. It has like a lemon zest smell to it that definitely, I don't care how sleepy you are, how tired you are, you open that zest and you get up and at them. So I'm going to read this. This is going to be rather lengthy, but I'm going to read it. An ICE agent commits suicide in New York City. He leaves a note revealing government plans to round up and disarm Americans during an economic and bank collapse. What is a conspiracy? What is a conspiracy theorist? Here on the show is like politics, news, conspiracy, wake up your third eye. And that's something that, in a sense, I pride myself on. Talking about conspiracies. 9/11, conspiracy or truth? Sandy Hook, conspiracy or truth? Our flag, what are they? False flag events, conspiracy or truth? Like, these are all questions that we have. Have we ever landed on the moon? Conspiracy or truth? If it takes 72 hours, we've been there before. Why we ain't been back? Why can't you go and moon jump for a couple hours? It only takes 72 hours to get there. We can have a weekend on the moon. Why don't we do that? Been there before. Why can't we go again? Just questions. Conspiracy theories. What are conspiracies? This conspiracy says, after writing, and this is from superstation95.com. Again, this is from superstation95.com. After writing a lengthy suicide note exposing terrifying plans the government has for American citizens, a U.S. Customs agent walked into a pier in New York City and blew his brains out. Sources inside the New York City Police Department have released to Superstation 95 the contents of a suicide note found on the body, and they are utterly frightening. The note, which says it was written over the course of a full week in advance, outlines why the officer chose to shoot himself. Are you guys ready? Because this is going to take a little while for me to read. I'm going to go ahead and read a rebuttal from Snoops.com, because Snoops apparently knows everything all the time. And then I'm going to read you a very special note that I would like to share with you. So this note that was written by the New York ICE agent that committed suicide back in May, this note says, "The America I grew up in and cherished has been murdered by its own federal government. Our Constitution has become meaningless and our laws politicized so badly that they are no longer enforced except for political purposes." The note said, "Our elected officials are to a person utterly corrupt and completely devoid of any love or respect for the country which pays them. To them, everything is about getting and keeping power and making illicit money from backroom deals. The 42-year-old U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement deportation officer shot himself with a .40 caliber service pistol inside Pier 40 in Hudson River Park around 11 a.m. A source at the scene described how the officer calmly walked into the park, took out his pistol, and shot himself in the head." He was rushed to Lenox Hospital, but doctors were unable to save him. ICE released a statement Friday afternoon. Tragically, a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE deportation officer from the New York field office suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound and has passed away. It added the agency is not releasing further details pending notification of the officer's next of kin. According to the suicide note, the officer continues to say, I was hired to enforce the law, to capture and deport people who come to this country against our laws. But now, if I dare to do that, I face being suspended or fired because our president refuses to faithfully execute his duties of office. Instead, I come to work each day and collect a paycheck twice a month for intentionally doing little to nothing. I cannot and will not be party to this fraud or to the despicable politicians betraying our nation. He mentions FEMA camps. Now, anybody who has a little bit of conspiracy theory in them knows what the FEMA camps are, knows that they have these plastic liners that look like coffins that can fit up to 4 to 6 bodies, depending on the size. And not once have they ever in detail described what are they for, and why do they have hundreds of thousands of them? If the American people knew what this government is planning, they would rise up and overthrow it. If I or anyone else in the federal government revealed what is coming, we would be killed anyway. So now I will reveal what I know. We in federal law enforcement have been drilling for several years to control riots and uprisings coming from a financial collapse and widespread bank failures. The drills involved life-size images of American men, even women and children, who are told to shoot for practice and get used to it. We have been told that the economy is terminally ill and will fail in 2016. We are also told the banks are insolvent and the FDIC doesn't have nearly enough funds to bail out its depositors. We are told these events are unavoidable, and it is imperative that the government survive when the people uprise over this. When the collapse takes place, detention camps created under FEMA REX 84 program of the 1980s to house illegal aliens whom we are going to deport will instead be used to imprison American citizens whom the government feels constitutes a threat. Listen, baby, I'm the first one to go. I will never commit suicide. I will never commit suicide. If they tell you I jumped off a damn building, that's a damn lie. I would never commit suicide. It is never that serious. Hold on, I don't think you guys heard me. I will never commit suicide. So if they find me dead, I have no heart disease problems. Let me cover my bases. We ain't got no heart disease problems. We don't have no type of issues for me to all of a sudden fall over dead. It doesn't run in my family, baby. My DNA is good. These camps have been equipped to carry out Hitler-scale killings and actual purge of American citizens by the very government which they themselves created and pay. I cannot be party to this, he says. The note goes on to talk about state-level National Guard being disarmed by the feds and over 1 billion rounds of ammunition purchased by the feds. This is actually true. So this is not conspiracy theorists. There are actual reports that talk about new tanks that have been created that are currently being stored. Talk about billions of rounds of ammunition that have been bought by the United States government. If you're a long-time listener of Wake Up with Tayla Andre, I think I read the story about a year and a half ago where it was being questioned, why is the government buying rounds? The note goes on to say, for those that are just now tuning in, Big City 101.3 FM, Waking Up with Tayla Andre, politics, news, conspiracies. And today we are talking about conspiracies and conspiracy theorists and those that believe that 9/11 was an inside job. We never touched foot on the moon. JFK was assassinated by his government. Once upon a time, it was conspiracy theory that Martin Luther King Jr. was killed by his government. And then it came out that when Coretta Scott took the United States government to court, they found the U.S. government guilty, and they did assassinate Martin Luther King Jr. The whole family could be a millionaire, billionaire right now, but she said, we don't even want your money. We just want the fact that y'all admitted that you killed my husband. You don't believe me? Go do your due diligence. I'll tell you no lies. We're reading a suicide note that allegedly, I hate that word, I hate that word, Reggie B, until they try to lock me up, and then allegedly is the only thing saving me. Allegedly, an ICE agent killed himself, left a suicide note, and this suicide note goes into great detail how our financial institutions are going to collapse. United States citizens are going to be treated like undocumented persons. He goes on to talk about how the military industrial complex and the police state that we have now, and that's why our police are militarizing. This is why our police have tanks. Did y'all see, I think it was last year, if not last year, 2 years ago, Boston has its own tank. We sure do, because that thing was rolling down Warren. And I was like, nobody's going to talk about why there's a damn tank rolling down Warren Street right now? I went as far to call headquarters, like, so y'all just gonna roll the tank down Warren Street in the middle of the day like it's okay? Our police are militarizing. Our police have weapons that they're not supposed to have unless they're overseas, but we need these weapons to keep us safe, considering the fact that, citizens have these weapons, all the excuses in the world. So we're going over this letter, this long suicide note, and I want to give a shout out to the baby that called, like, Tayla, you don't know this? You need to go do your own due diligence. And I had to, and I read it, and it scared the hell out of me. It scared the hell out of me because it's too much details. Yes, I got scared. When I read this, I absolutely got scared. I got scared because I read on air about the 1 billion rounds of ammunition that the government bought. I see every day how our police are militarizing, how our police the police don't even look like National Guard. Police look like they're going overseas to fight insurgents. I know I'm not an insurgent, and we don't even have that much of a threat here in the city of Boston. Well, Taylor, what about the Boston bombing? The boys didn't even have guns. They had meat cookers. It's scary. It scares me half to death. I'm going to continue reading this. We currently have a caller on the line, 617-282-0062, conspiracy theorists. They're saying that the ICE agent did kill himself, but he never had a letter on him. And I have some surprise information. Baby, you can't keep calling and hanging up when I'm about to pull you up. 617-282-0062. You can call back. The note goes on to talk about state-level National Guard being disarmed by the feds. The government knows the military will rise up to stop this. So our military is being deployed overseas intentionally, involved in foreign fights, and deliberately shrunk in size so they cannot be here to help Americans. This is why certain ammunition and weaponry has been removed from state-level National Guard armories, and over 1 billion rounds of hollow point ammunition has been bought by the federal government. The states themselves have been disarmed by military-grade firepower so they cannot defend themselves from the federal activities. This is also why local police departments have been militarized and provided with armored vehicles and weapons of war. When the inevitable collapse begins to take place, electric power to the entire country will be shut off as all forms of communication, all banks will be immediately closed. No one will be able to get money because all the ATMs will be offline. Credit, debit, and EBT cards will not function. So, that hit home, huh? Yo, EBT card ain't gonna work. That blue magic gone, boo.
You better get them gold bars.
Hey, shout out, Reggie. Hey. Or you can get you some silver. I got a guy. EBT cards, credit cards, debit cards will not function. Anyone without cash will have no way to get any. The emergency alert system will be used to take over all broadcast stations and tell the public this is a result of a cyber attack. But while the American people are patiently waiting things to get back to normal, the government will unleash and round up citizens as they deem militant or dangerous. With all civilian communications out and all TV and radio stations taken over, there will not be a way for you to spread word of what's taking place, and the government will already have the upper hand. They talk about federal prisons to be gassed to death and how all new prisons are outfitted with a legal gas system. So if anything happens, they just press a button. Everybody in the prison is killed. As soon as they die, they go in there, they pull out the dead bodies, and now that prison will be used to house American citizens. They also talk about the priests are being recruited, priests and parishioners and pastors are being recruited. So listen, I read this entire, it's pretty long. I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but at any point in time, if Pastor Thompson start talking about listen to the government, we might be on to something here. They might be telling the truth. If your pastor start reading you scriptures about how to obey the government and do what you're supposed to do when authority tells you to do so and don't question folks, you might have a problem, Houston. We might have a problem, Boston. So this is right now, this is a quote unquote conspiracy theory that the ICE agent killed himself and went ahead and released all the information that he had. And we're reading this letter that I'm writing you a 4-page letter, and I enclosed it with the truth. And he's saying that these are truth. This is facts. I'm not lying to you. So priests have been recruited. So intent is for the government to succeed. Rabbis, clerics, and various religions to quote appropriate scriptures about obeying government. They are being trained to tell people not to fight back and that their best bet is to pray. I'm going to go ahead and take this call up before they hang up again, too. Good rising, caller, you live.
Hey, good rising, Tim.
Good rising, good rising. Yes, I can hear you.
Oh yeah, because I can't hear you at all on the phone. But it's funny how you say that, because if people really do their due diligence, like you always say, you gotta remember the most evil man in history, the United States, was so-called Hitler. But the United States basically studied everything Hitler did.
Yeah.
And if you really look closely, they're doing a lot of the things Hitler did. All those scientists that came over that so-called built these rockets that brought us to the moon, they were German. All these stealth fighters, airplanes that we have now, guess what? They were German. All the submarines, that the technology they had, they were German. So all this stuff the cloning, Germans did that first. So you got to be very careful, because people don't see what's going on. But if you look between the lines, you'll understand exactly what's going on. And I don't think that this is a conspiracy theory. It's just, when is it going to happen? Because if you look at it, the world is overpopulated. So eventually, sucks to say, but this has to happen because they know it has to happen. And I think it's trash. It's trash. Just look at the numbers. Numbers don't lie. Trash, completely trash. But
I love and appreciate you too, baby. I hope you have an amazing day today. I'm sorry if you couldn't hear me. If you call and you can't hear, I am gonna pull you up. Hopefully you'll be able to hear me. And you can go ahead and get your point across. Get Rising Caller, you live. I'm super fantastic. Can you hear me? Okay, but I can hear you fine, baby. We can hear you.
Awesome. I sent you the PDF of that book that you were reading the suicide note out of. It's in a chapter in the book. I'm having a hard time corroborating how valid this information is and whether or not it's just a fiction work. It very potentially could really happen. I'm not saying that like
this is our
like they say in the book,
resident white guy.
Financial collapse probably isn't that far off. The caller right before, this is right out of playbook from World War II. This is how you dominate a society. You disarm them first. You give them no way to defend themselves. And then you go in with a police state and you take over. There are over 3 million guns in American citizens' hands, 80 million rounds. I think that the American people will rise up and we would be okay. Another thing that is kind of a concern to me is the police will follow lockstep with what the government wants, and the military wouldn't necessarily do that. and I'm kind of concerned with all the quote-unquote training that our military is going for. We have removed over half our armed services off of this nation, and they are in foreign nations right now under the guise of training exercises. That's a pretty scary thought right there in itself. One last thing, and then I'll let you go. When you were talking about the fires on the West Coast, those pine trees need the fires in order to open up the pine cones to propagate more trees. It's not a moisture thing. It's a heat thing that allows those seeds to propagate, and without an annual burn, you don't have that happen. And a lot of those trees, they grow old, they die, and they create a higher fire hazard. So this is a natural occurrence. It's much like building a house on a floodplain of a river. If you know it's going to flood, or you know there's a fire there every year, why do you build there? There are better places to live.
Thank you, baby. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead, as soon as we get off air, I'm going to go ahead and read that. I believe the book is A Pale White Horse, correct?
The book is called A Pale White Horse. The PDF I sent you is, it says vaccine something, but it's basically that book. It's the playbook of how you would go through and you would do some of these things. I've only gotten through probably like half of it. I've got a couple other things on my plate right at the moment.
It's okay. It's okay. We appreciate you nonetheless and the effort that you've invested so far. Thank you.
Best of luck to you guys. You have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.
Ashe. Have an amazing day today. We have another caller on the line. Listen, for those that are just now tuning in, I'm currently reading a quote-unquote alleged suicide note that an ICE agent left. He was a veteran of many years, and he worked for ICE. And for those who don't know, that's the deportation of undocumented persons. And he's going over this week long. He took a whole week to write this suicide note, and it talks about disarming citizens. It talks about the National Guard that we no longer have on our soil. It goes into talking about your priests and your pastors telling you to obey the government and just pray and don't uprise and, be calm and be easy. There's some more that I'm going to read, and then I'm going to get to our caller's point about some credibility in this. We currently have another call on the line, 617-282-0062. Good rising, caller, you live.
Good morning.
Good rising, baby. Just turn the radio down for me a little bit so I don't hear that echo.
Driving to work, listening to this. I've been teaching my kids this for the past 10 years. I've been teaching my family members this. It's crazy because it's so true, everything you're saying. But the sad thing is the only thing people can do is pay attention to the markings on your street. Pay attention to the markings on your mailboxes and educate your children no matter how smart they are.
Hold on, baby. You scared me for a second.
And knock on your door just like they did in the Holocaust and pull you out of your home. That's why they're offering you all kinds of things to get ready, people. They have homeschooling all over your Facebook page for you to get your kids and keep them close to you, because when that time comes, they will separate your family. They will tear you apart, and there will be nothing that you can do to find anyone or get them back. This is all true. Everything that you guys are saying is the truth. They're showing you on TV, on commercials, all over the place. They don't want you to believe that it's true, but they have to show you. They're showing you. And you need to pay attention, and you need to educate your children from now, from the time they can talk, because it is coming.
Mama, can you hear me? Baby, can you hear me? Listen, I need you, as soon as you turn your radio up, for the last baby that just got off the phone talking about she been teaching her children, I'm going to need you to call back, 617-282-0062. Explain to me these markings on your mailbox and explain to me the markings on your street. Anybody who is a longtime Tayla Andre fan, if you head over to my YouTube channel, it's called Tayla's Rant, my first rant ever. I woke up in the middle of the night and went on a real rant about how somebody's going to come knocking on your door. They're going to tell you that you need to come with us. It's for your safety. You leave all your belongings, and then all of a sudden, you end up in a damn FEMA camp in a damn coffin wondering how I got here. And Taylor's the conspiracy theorist. I want to know about these markings on my street and the marking on my mailbox, baby. Please give me a call back, 617-282-0062, because if you teaching your children, I'm going to need for you to teach our listeners. Let me go back and continue reading this letter from the 42-year-old man who killed himself, the ICE agent that left the suicide note, allegedly left the suicide note. He talks about the priests and pastors are being recruited and telling you to obey government and reading appropriate scriptures and telling people not to fight back. Executive Order 13603, suicide note, goes on to great lengths about Executive Order 13603, signed by President Barack Obama on March 16, 2012. Executive Order is about national defense resources, preparedness. The 10-page document is a blueprint for a federal takeover of the economy. Specifically, Obama's plan involves seizing control of all commodities and products that are capable of being ingested by either human beings and or animals. I don't know if you guys remember, but I read a story, it has to be at least 2 years ago, about at any point in time, the government has access, can come into your home and take your food, take your water. If you own your own land and you grow your own food and you have your own little pond, at any point in time, the government can come in and this is my land, Christopher Columbus you immediately. All forms of energy, all forms of civil transportation, all usable water from all sources, health resources, drugs, biological products, medical devices, materials, facilities, health supplies, services, equipment, forced labor or induction, as the executive order refers to military conscription. Moreover, federal officials will issue regulations to prioritize and allocate resources. Now, that is a real thing. I don't know if you guys remember that article that I read many moons ago, but that is a real thing that the government can and will. This was an executive order. It was in 2012. You don't believe me? Go do your due diligence. That at any point in time, if anything happens, the government can basically come in your house and use anything they want. Now, when I read this, what it made me think of is, do you remember? Okay, so I only have movie references, but there was a movie where, I can't think of his name, but he had a farm. He was, taking care of his family. And then all of a sudden, the militia of the day or the army of the day came in and said, by order of such and such, we are here to utilize the property. Like, they ate all the food and it used even raped the wife. And it was like, oh, okay, it's time for us to go. We got to go up north or wherever it was. It put me in that mindset. It made me think of, if I need this land, if I need your water, if I need your food, I'm just going to come use it, regardless of it being yours. It's really mine. So again, this is Superstation 95. They took a look at the executive order from the government printing office website, and sure enough, everything contained in the officer's suicide note is contained in that executive order, and it is true. We currently have a caller on the line, 617-282-0062. Conspiracy theorists, people who believe in these conspiracies, and right now this is probably the #1 conspiracy that nobody is talking about. Good rising, caller, you're live.
I need to come off the air.
You need to come off the air, you said? Hold on 1 minute. Jules, get over here, please. Take this call over here and take her information. So pick up, press the red button. Pick it up. Yep, press that red button. I'm going to release her. Go ahead.
Hello?
No, like whisper.
Hello?
Like whisper. She wants to remain anonymous, so go ahead and talk to her anonymously, and whatever notes you need. Take this, because I'm interested. I want to know what secret she knows, because if she's been teaching her kids, I'm trying to learn too. Again, Superstation 95 looked at the executive order from the government printing office, the GPO website, and sure enough, everything contained in the office's suicide note about the executive order is true. Be sure much of the language has appeared in the national security executive orders that previous presidents have issued since the beginning of the Cold War. but more than previous national security executive orders, Obama's 13603 seems to describe a potential I hate this word. I'm going to butcher it, so I'm not. A regime obsessed with control over everything. Obama's executive order makes no effort to justify the destruction of liberty, no effort to explain how a mass control will enable the government to deal effectively with cyber sabotage, the suicide bombings, chemical warfare, nuclear missiles, or other possible threats. There's nothing in the executive order about upholding the Constitution or protecting civil liberties, and this is Obama's 13603. So every president, and that's one of the things that they do say, is like every president has issued this executive order. This isn't new. Don't sit here and put this on President Barack Obama. But the difference between this executive order and every president prior to President Barack Obama is that this one, 13603, do your due diligence, look it up for yourself, is that it does not uphold the Constitution and it does not protect civil liberties. In what circumstances, one might ask, would a president try and carry out this plan? Well, 13603 says that the full spectrum of emergencies. What is a full spectrum of emergencies? They have a database of preppers. We in federal law enforcement have also been told that the government has a full database of so-called preppers. Those people will be dealt with first by armed federal agents coming to take their guns, then their food stocks, so there can be distributed the way the government sees fit. If the dead officers' claim about an unavoidable economic and banking collapse are true, would it then follow that the executive order can be put in place, might be activated? All of us would find ourselves in forced labor while the government takes our food and distributes it the way that it wants to. The executive order paragraph about allocating resources is terrifying. There is much more to the suicide note, and Superstation 95 is considering how much more to publish. Again, they're saying, like, listen, this could be nothing more but ramblings of a man who decided to kill himself. But at the same time, this could have been a man that is scared to death and knew that he was going to be murdered. So instead of you killing me, I'm going to go ahead and put out this 4-page letter. It wasn't, I'm quoting Aaliyah. I'm going to go ahead and put out this suicide note, and then I'm going to take my own life because you ain't finna kill me. I'll kill myself, though. Sourcing or collaborations, like, how does this seem fit? How does this sound correct? An ICE agent suicide by the in New York City. This was covered. Go ahead. You can just pick it up from there. Hello? Taken to Lenox Hill Hospital. The NY Post reported on this. The Rex 84 FEMA camps. That's all over the internet. You can read about that anywhere. National Guard being stripped of crew serviceable weapons and communication gear was reported by Republic Broadcasting. John Stedmiller. Department of Homeland Security orders 1.6 billion rounds of ammunition. That was in Forbes magazine. U.S. Army overdeployed and intentionally shrunk Army Times website magazine. Clergy recruited by government was reported by KSLA TV, Channel 12. Executive Order 13603, that was from the White House, U.S. Government Printing Office. This was an update on May 10th. The website Snoops.com has issued a declaration that the story from Superstation 95 is some sort of hoax and that they are somehow not a radio station, and attributed the story and the website to being completely false. Yes. Shh, whisper. This is not the first time Snoops has made accusations against Superstation 95 simply because they have been the exclusive source of a political or any type of news. And while they said they stand by their story in every regard, they wanted to go ahead and call Snoops out. And they did call Snoops out. And Snoops never said anything back. Now, let's go back to Hillary Clinton. Remember, really quickly in the beginning when I was reading the news, Hillary, ex-serviceman, came out with a book, and it's called, what is it? Hillary's Lies or something like that. Damn it, I forgot the name of the book. Crisis of Character. and it's going to be released next week. And he's talking about, you know, all this stuff that happened with Hillary. And she's like, get him banned from television immediately. So he has been banned from television speaking about his book, Crisis of Character. And she could definitely sue him. She could sue him for slander. She could sue him for libel. She could sue him and make sure that book never comes out. But if you can't sue me, you just shut me down from all the from being seen on television. Now take that theory, or at least that's what I did. I took that theory, like if I'm telling the truth and I shut down your rebuttal, and Snoop's many a times, I said this on Periscope earlier, I stopped listening to Snoops. Like I used to go to Snoops and say, okay, this story isn't real. This story isn't real. All right, Snoops got this kind of right. But when Snoops reported that the first president of the United States, John Henson, the first black man, the first black president, isn't like, that story is not true. That's not a true story. And it wasn't, they didn't say that's not true because during that time there was no such thing as president. That's the only thing that makes John Hanson being the first black president null and void, is because there wasn't a title of president. But when they went on to say that, you know, John Hanson didn't do anything, he was like a little small army, but history books tell us that John Hanson was the first African-American president, but there just wasn't a title of a president. That was the last time I started believing or reading or referencing Snoops in any regard. So Snoops kind of lost credibility with me last year when we were talking about John Hanson being the first African-American president, and they shut that down. And Snoops is trying to shut down Superstation 95. And they said that, you know, this story is all lies. There's no truth to it. Yeah, the man killed himself, but there was never a note found. So another update is that Raw's story went ahead and copied and pasted Snoop's original rebuttal and posted it as if it was facts, posted it as if it was truth, posted it as if it was actual news with a story behind it. So what I would like to give you for a surprise is that I contacted Superstation 95, and I emailed them and I said, both in Snoops and Raw story, it is said that yes, this man killed himself, but no letter was found. Do you have proof of a letter and or a photograph of the letter or anything that we can share, we as media can share with our listeners or our reading constituents in order to, you know, back up this claim being made by this suicide letter? So I'm not just going on air talking nonsense, sounding like a crazy conspiracy theorist. And they sent me a reply stating, we issued a rebuttal to both the Snoops and Raw story hit pieces that appeared on the subject. It is interesting that neither Snoops nor Raw story ever bothered to contact us about our story. They simply decided on their own that somehow it was false, then made that claim to the world. We cannot release any further information from that letter. The letter contained personal material about family, which we have no interest in revealing, as so to protect the family, as well as some material which is still presently classified. We stand by the truthfulness and the accuracy of our story. Snoops is wrong. Raw story simply republished the Snoops era. We stand by our story. That was from them. That was from Superstation 95 in an email. You don't believe me? I'll send it to you. You want me to send it to you? Just go to TaylaAndre.com, TaylaAndre. Go to the contact page and say, Tayla, I want to see it. I want to make sure you ain't lying. I want to make sure you ain't telling me no stories. So I go back to the fact that this man believes so much in his story that he wrote a book as far as the Hillary Clinton. Like, he wrote a book about what happened while he was working under the Clinton administration. And at no point in time did anybody stop him in the sense of legal means of going to court and saying, listen, I am not going to let this come out because these are lies. This is slander. This is libel. It's not going to happen. Hold it right there. You're not going to make a dime off of this lie. But instead, she just simply called it trash. And I take that and I think about Snoops not A, having a rebuttal, two, the rebuttal of, listen, these facts. Now what? And for Supes not to even have contacted Superstation 95, it just, I don't know. Conspiracy theory. There are no facts right now. I haven't seen a letter. I don't know what a letter looks like. But I would love, listen, for me, the only security that I have of this is if your pastor starts telling you to obey the government. This might be right. If your pastor, can I read this? Is this something that I can actually read? Did she say to share it? Is this confidential? What is this? Is confidential? I can't tell people? Damn. Hey, y'all might have to follow me on Snapchat for that one, though. I also want to shout out from V from Tennessee. V, if you can give us a call, please do 617-282-0062. What she just said about the mailbox markers, I've heard and read before. There is a 3-color code in place from green to yellow to red that indicates the least threatening people to red being the most threatening. Damn it, I'm purple. They ain't gonna get me with red. They're gonna get me with purple. Lock her up right now. Throw away the key, put her under the jail. Her voice can never be heard. I will never commit suicide. I don't have anything in my family that constitutes me as dying. Listen, I have 92-year-old aunties walking around cooking breakfast, lunch, and dinner for themselves, living in their own house. My DNA is strong and good, baby. I will never commit suicide. If you find me dead, they killed me. Red to yellow to red, that indicates the least threatening people, to red being the most threatening. This code rating system is put together based on the monitoring of your internet activity, religious and political affiliations. All y'all listeners are red. I'm laughing, but I'm scared as hell. I can't, my heart is beating so hard right now. And the reason why is because I'm thinking I might want to relocate myself to another country. I thank God I'm a little bit broke because I don't have any money in the bank. All my money is under the mattress. All my little pennies. Also be extra diligent. V from Tennessee, thank you again. Aware during the holiday seasons because most Americans have their guard down with family and can be easily located and rounded up. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know, like, Tayla, you sound real crazy this rising. Tayla, you sound on point this rising. Like, I want to know, what do you think? How do you feel? You know what? We got, you want to talk, Jules? Because I want to know what a child feels about this. Can you tell me how you feel as a child, Jules? How does any of this sound to you? Jules got it. Good rising, Jules. We just going to call you Jules. We're not going to say nothing else. You ain't going to be on film, camera. From what I've read so far, from what we've heard so far, and the little bit that you know about life, what are your personal thoughts?
I kind of don't know what happens when I get out of college and when I live on my own. Like, is this gonna happen
to you?
Yeah.
So you're not even thinking about this happening tomorrow. You're thinking about after I get out. Let me graduate first. I got you. You know, as far as the collapse is concerned, we're not doing well financially. And we don't have enough money in the banks to give. Can I take you back? We have to learn from history because we are damned to repeat it, not doomed. We are damned to repeat it if we do not educate ourselves. And I want you to remember 1920s. I want you to remember that financial collapse where people had money in the bank, was going to the banks trying to get their money out and they couldn't. I feel like, what was that? Mary Poppins. I think it was Mary Poppins that they showed that people were trying to get their money out of the bank and the banks closed the doors. And people were banging on the door and the police officers like, move along, they're closed. Move along. Like, they ain't got no money for you. So I don't care FDIC insured or not. If there's no money, there's no money. You have to understand we're a country that our backings are in promises, promissory notes. Look at your dollar bill. That's a promissory note. That's not even, if you look at the old money and you look at the new money, the old money was actually backed by gold. This new money is backed by a promise. Your money ain't worth much, baby. If you don't have any coins, if you don't have any gold, if you don't have any silver, how are you secure? You're not. One of the things that I want to remind you of also is that We buy gold. We buy gold now. We buy gold direct. We buy your old gold. We buy scrap gold. We'll buy all your jewelry. Need money? Pawn it now. So if you pawning all your gold, you don't have any gold. And I go back to Schindler's List. Has anybody seen Schindler's List? You remember in Schindler's List when one of the family members was like under the floorboard. It's been a while since I've seen the movie. I could be mixing up two different scenes, but one of the family members was under the floorboard, and the father like took out a piece of gold out of his tooth and was like, "Here, take this, take this, take this." And that was the only thing that saved the family, was that piece of gold that was a filling in his tooth, because that was the only means of collateral. People wanted that gold. I'm about to get some feelings real quick. I'm about to get some gold. I think about that type of stuff. I think about, like, what kind of collateral do you have? If today it was our financial system was to completely collapse, you could not go to the bank, you couldn't pass go, you couldn't collect $200, and whatever you had in your hand, whatever you had at home was all that you had, how long would you last for? Could you grow your own food? Would you know how to locate water? Would you know how to track animals and find food? We need to come out of this technology age, get back to nature, and realize that we need to learn some stuff on our own. We got to figure out some things on our own, because you going to find Tayla Andre somewhere in Maine, straight in the woods. I think about I Am Legend. And in I Am Legend, you know, the hub was always in Maine. There's another movie. I can't think of it. When I think it was the man that was blind that had the Bible, and he ended up going to Maine. Like, I always wondered, what's the significance of Maine? Because there's so many movies, like the world collapse and all this craziness happens, but yet there's asylum in Maine, or there's a camp in Maine, and people are always going to Maine for that freedom or for that safety. But then again, I also think about Day After Tomorrow, and when they went to Africa. And Anari told me, I didn't even know this. Anari put me on game. He said, "Did you know that Africa was rooted to the earth?" It's like, Anari, what are you saying right now? And he's like, Africa's rooted to the earth. When Pangea took place, Africa didn't move. The Book of Eli. Thank you. I love my listeners. The Book of Eli is when they went to Maine for asylum or safety. Anari told me that Africa is rooted. So when Pangea took place, everything else scattered and moved away and is currently located where it's located. But Africa never moved because it is rooted in the earth. So if you ever want, that safety, Day After Tomorrow, you better get in that boat and travel to Africa, because that's where your safety is. And Anari told me when he came back from South Africa with his daddy, he was like, "You ready to move?" Because I am. 617-282-0062. Verizon Caller, you're live. I know you can't hear me, baby, but I can hear you, so just talk. Just talk. Turn your radio up a little bit. Verizon, baby. So y'all can't hear me. I don't know. We got some technical difficulties. I apologize. There's nothing I can do to change it. But if you can just, as soon as I pull you up, turn your radio down and then start talking, we can work this out, all right? So call back, 617-282-0062. Your opinion does matter. If you want to go ahead and hit me on Facebook, TaylaAndre. We are Facebook Live right now, so you can go ahead and make your comments there, or you can go ahead. We are Google Plus Live, which will then be connected to YouTube, so you can watch at a later date. Shout out to the Facebook comments. You need guns, land, seeds, and fresh water. It wasn't Maine, though. It was Alcatraz. Was it Alcatraz? I thought it was Maine in the Book of Eli. One of the movies, it was Maine. There was like 2 or 3 movies, and everybody was going to Maine for safety. They thought it was Atlanta, but then it's something with the CDC and everybody turned into zombies, so they went to Maine instead. So I could be wrong, but Anari said we need to go to Africa. If my people can come on a boat, I'm going to learn how to sail. Figure it out. That's what I'm telling babies. Listen, I don't know how true the story is. I don't know how factual it is that the ICE agent shot himself and had a suicide note. And had a suicide note talking about the trainings that he's recently been involved in. Talking about how he is being taught to shoot on sight and get used to it. Don't have no feelings involved. When I read this and I think about, you know, the many people that went along with Hitler, that felt like Hitler was doing the right thing. How many people actually question, like, why do I have to kill Jews? Why do I have to shoot them on sight? Why are we gassing them? But instead just went along with it. How many police officers are not going to question because it is their job, it is their duty? How many people went to Vietnam and killed innocent women and children because it was their job, it was their duty, and then came home and had nothing but nightmares about it? So I'm not saying that it's facts because I don't know it to be facts. I'm not saying that it's true because I don't know it to be true. But I'm saying that it's a possibility. I'm saying that it's being put out there and nobody's reporting on it. I read the story about Hillary Clinton blackballing the man who wrote a book about her, but she didn't take him to court to stop the book from coming out. But she had the power to stop the media from giving him any media attention. So do you think for 5 seconds that the media does not have the power to tell you that, oh, there was no suicide note? I just need you to be mindful, baby. I just need you to use your critical thinking skills. Don't listen to everything I say and take it as fact and take it as truth. Don't listen to everything I say and say, oh, Tayla said it, so it has to be right. Do your due diligence and just start paying attention. That's all I'm really asking. You're rising, calling it live. Baby, as soon as you call, I need you to have your radio on. I know it's real bootleg. Don't judge me, all right? I can only work with what I have. You got to do what you got to do. I want you to hang up. I want you to have your radio on. When I say call it your live, that's when you turn your radio down and just start talking. I don't care if you can't hear me. We can hear you, okay? We're going to try this one more again. Okay, that didn't work either. 617-282-0062. News, conspiracies. I talk about conspiracies because I believe a lot of conspiracies have truth in it. You have to understand, once upon a time, the United States government killed Martin Luther King Jr. Somebody said that was a conspiracy. You're a conspiracy theory. Why would you say something like that? And then Coretta Scott King took the United States government to court, and the jury found the United States government guilty of killing Martin Luther King Jr. But anybody who said that back in the 60s, back in the 70s, back in the 80s was a conspiracy theorist. Why would you blame the government? I'm waiting for them to go ahead and admit that they killed JFK. I'll wait. They'll probably come out the same time your pastor tell you to obey the government. Hey, good rising, baby. You're live. Good rising. Talk to me, mama.
Hello.
Go ahead and talk to me. You might not hear me, but I can hear you. I'm well. Go ahead, baby. Just talk.
Taylor, I believe the movie you're looking for is not Mary Poppins. It's called It's a Wonderful Life. It's a bank.
Okay. It's a wonderful. You know, I get all those movies mixed up, but you might be right. When they go ahead and they close the shutters and everybody's banging on the window, give me my money, and then the police come and scoot them away.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Now you know, no one's half the battle. Thank you for correcting me, baby.
You're welcome. Have a nice day.
Thank you. It's a Wonderful Life. Well, it wasn't Mary Poppins. It was A Wonderful Life. Go back and watch it. Because there's some truth, in fact, in all this fiction. And I remember, conspiracy theory. I was a conspiracy theorist when I was over here talking about the government's watching you, the government's listening to you, the government, hey, your listening device, your phone is a listening device. They can listen to you, tap into you at any moment. And then the movie came out, Eagle Eye. Then the other movie came out with Will Smith. I want y'all to go all the way back. Go back to the 1990s when some of these movies came out. Let's go back to George Orwell, where George Orwell wrote in the 60s, 1983, where he believed that everybody was going to have the thought. You've read that book? I thought I saw you shaking your head. You might want to read that book this summer. George Orwell's 1983. In that book, he talks about the thought police and how you could think of a crime and the police would come and arrest you for thinking about a crime. Let me go ahead and read Reggie B. Anari is very correct about going to Africa. We need to go to Senegal and see Sophie Kofu. You know I can't say words, Reggie. You know I can't spell. Remember, he was at the Melanated Head Museum about 2 years ago. And I swear to tell the truth, I love me some Reggie B. 617-282-0062. Good Verizon caller, you live. You can't hear me, baby, but I can hear you. Good Verizon caller. I really, really hate this for us, baby. I really do. If you could, I can hear you, but you can't hear me. I wish you would just, as soon as I say call it live, turn down. Yep, you're live, baby. Turn down your radio and just talk for me. Yes, I'm super fantastic.
The name of that movie was Enemy of the State with Will Smith, and they were talking about how there are going to be video cameras everywhere and the traffic lights and all buildings and stuff like that. That's exactly what it is.
Message.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about this letter? How do you feel about this alleged suicide note that talks about we've been training to kill you guys on site? We've been training. This is what we're trained to do. The police have been militarized. We have our National Guard that's been taken out of the country so they can't protect us.
Well, I just came in on the tail end of everything, so I'm going to hang up and listen to you.
Okay, yes, sir. So for those that just now are catching up or just now tweeting in, really quickly, there is what is true is that there is an ICE agent that walked into Pier 40 and killed himself. That is a true statement. I'll go ahead and post that for you. There was an ICE agent that committed suicide in New York City. There were multiple reports that reported on this. And it was said that he had a suicide note on his person. The 42-year-old federal agent fatally shot himself in the head in a waterfront Chelsea Park in an apparent suicide. The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement deportation officer shot himself with a .40 caliber service pistol inside Pier 40 in Hudson River Park around 11 a.m. The agent walked into the building, which houses park offices and several soccer fields, shot himself in a walkway on the ground. Emergencies responders rushed him to Lenox Hospital, but doctors were unable to save him. The agent worked at an office in Lower Manhattan, blocks away from the scene of the shooting. Officials have not identified him, pending family notification. Tragically, he killed himself, and that's it. There is a radio station website, Superstation 95, which states that there was a suicide note on his body. They allege that the reports have been altered since then. One of the stories that I read prior to hitting Power Hour and talking about conspiracy theorists and whether or not this is a conspiracy or it could be factual was the fact that there is a man coming out with a book, Crisis of Character, about Hillary Clinton, and Hillary didn't take him to court to stop the book from coming out, but she was able to completely alter his ability to be heard by the media, be on any radio stations, be on any television stations. She halted his publicity because she said the book was trash. Now, if Hillary Clinton, who is not even president, if Hillary Clinton can go ahead and say, you know, do not let this man on television, and they don't let him on television, then you don't think for 5 seconds, I said 1983. My bad. That's the year I was born. The book is 1984. I thought I said 84. Did I say 83? Yeah, I'm thinking about my age, baby. I'm thinking about my age. Blame it on old age. But I just, point is, because we're coming to the top of the hour, I don't know the truth. I wasn't there when he killed himself. I didn't find the suicide note, but I also know that we ain't been back to the moon since we've been. I also know that Martin Luther King Jr. was killed by the United States government. I also know that it was a conspiracy that the Black Panther Party was being watched by the FBI, but then reports came out that, yeah, they were watched by the FBI. So, one day a conspiracy, one day the truth. I just want you to be mindful. I want you to pay attention. I want you to open your eyes, your ears. I want to say shout out to V from Tennessee. I want to say, watch your mailbox. If you get a yellow marking on your mailbox or a yellow marking in front of your house, you might want to move. If you get a red, you might want to disappear, because I already know there's going to be a red on my mailbox. There's going to be a red in front of my house. I already know what that means. Thank you for educating me. Please watch the documentary, We Killed the Wrong Enemy. Says the Holocaust didn't happen the way that we thought it did. Something is causing the call to disconnect before you can hear anything. Okay, thank you for letting me know. I'll definitely get that information over to IT. I thank every single last one of you. I appreciate you. I'll go ahead and watch that documentary. Just be mindful. Just be mindful. If anybody has more information, please give me a call. I want to read this again. I sent this to Superstation 95, both in Snoop's and Raw story. It is said that, yes, the man killed himself, but no letter was found. Do you have any proof of the letter, a photograph of the letter, or anything that I myself can share with the constituents of listeners and viewers to back up this claim that there was a suicide note? And they wrote back and they said, we issued a rebuttal to both the Snoops and Ross story hit pieces that appeared on the subject. It is interesting that neither Snoops nor Ross story ever bothered to contact us about our story. They simply decided on their own it was something somehow false, and they made their claim to the world. We cannot release any further information from that letter. The letter contains personal material about the family, which we have no interest in revealing and plan to protect the family, as well as some material which is still classified. We stand by the truthfulness and the accuracy of our story. Snoops is wrong. Raw story simply republished the Snoops error, and we stand by what we said. And they have issued a rebuttal. Everything that Snoops said and everything that Raw story copy pasted and stated, they hit every line. Rebuttal, 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 rebuttal for every claim that Snoops made. And Snoops has yet to make any type of rebuttal. This was back in the beginning of May. We're here at the end of June, and Snoops has yet to say anything. Raw story has yet to say anything, and Superstation 95 has made claim that not once were they contacted by Snoops or Raw story. So I leave this at your feet. You can do with it what you wish. If you find out more information, please connect it to me. I am always available. I want to thank everybody who continues to send me news stories. I want to thank everybody who continues to send me things that I wasn't completely in the know about. So it's about us. All right. So I don't have all the answers, Sway. If you have the answers, let's share them together. My people perish for lack of knowledge. I want nothing more but for my people to know so we can do better, because you know better when you do better. And we do as 100%. I believe we need to start cultivating our own land. We need to start growing our own food. If Monsanto and the FDA sleeping in the same bed together doesn't make you sick to your stomach, literally and figuratively, then I don't know what to tell you. We need to start growing our own food. We need to go contact the Nation of Islam and go get some food from them. They sell fruit, fresh fruit, organic fresh fruit at Mosque number 11 every Saturday. Start getting your food from other sources. Start being mindful of where your meats come from, where your vegetables come from. Remember, I told you one package of beef can contain up to 400 cows. If that doesn't disgust you, I don't know what else will. They're doing that right now with cameras at every stoplight in the hood. I'm going to just leave that right there, baby. I thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. Just be mindful out here. You have to. Do you mind? I'm going to play this song real quick because I'm feeling a little high school all over again. What kind of games is being played? How's it going down? I want to know how it's going down with all these allegations and allegedly. Might be facts, might be truth. Like I do, you know, I gotta go ahead and shut YouTube off because they won't let me play music. But I love you. I appreciate you. Be mindful, pay attention, use your critical thinking skills, and don't believe everything you hear, see, or read. Do your own due